And welcome to the podcast, guys, with Rob and Nando. We're going to get into today's topic, but before we do so, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, follow us on Instagram and TikTok on the Podcast Guys _. We are on X, the Podcast Guys 5, and we are slowly but surely making our way onto Rumble, the Podcast Guys _. So today's topic is the challenges that single mothers face. So being a single mother is not easy for a lot of women out there. I would say for the vast majority of women. And they do face a lot of difficulties. I would say more downs than ups. Of course, there's an exception of the very few that are okay, but it's not easy for them out there. And we're going to talk about some of these challenges, what they face on a daily basis. And we're bringing this to light because we know that a lot of women are struggling. And it seems to the audience out there that, oh, we're hating, we don't care, blah, blah, blah. That's not the case. We want to help men grow. This is a men's improvement podcast in every way, shape, or form. Dating, money, fitness, even though we've been primarily focused on dating, but we also want to help out the ladies as well. We want to help. We don't want to leave them hanging, right? And we want to address this situation because ladies need to wake up and realize that you are better off next to a man than doing it on your own. And not just for you, also for the child that you have or the children that you have. So one of the challenges that women face are not having the support they need.
So I'm going to start you guys off with a couple quick stats, all right? 1 in 8 families is led by a single mother. In 2022, 39.8% of births were to unmarried women. As of 2023, the average cost of having a child, at least in the U.S., is roughly $22,000 a year. So looking at that, another good one. Since 1968 to 2017, single-parent households have more than doubled. So this is a good topic we're getting into today because the trend is that more and more kids are being raised in single-parent households. So let's get into the challenges.
Yeah, so that challenge of not having support, you can see how difficult it can be just by the statistics. They're really telling. And, you know, you need, as a woman, to have that someone there to give you the attention, give you the time, listen to you, be able to help you out in every which way or form, not to be hanging on your own. And it's very difficult doing that by yourself. When you have nobody around, what support do you have? You have to push yourself every day to make sure that things are being taken care of, that your children have the support that they need because you're the one that they look up to. As a woman, as a single mother, you're the one that they depend on. So if a man were around, you would have those benefits. So it seems like women do push men away and they end up breaking up or they get divorced and they lose that support. So we're trying to give you sort of a perspective of what it's like without that support. And if you are together with a man, why it's important to keep a man. Because without that man, without that support, it's going to be tough.
Something that I think a lot of modern women need to come to terms with, because we always talk about how a lot of these women have unrealistic standards. They set goals so high when it comes to like what type of man they need that a lot of them just end up with nobody, right? And the truth is, I believe that whether a guy makes $50K a year, $80K a year, $150K a year, I think just by having a man in her life, a woman will always benefit in some way, shape, or form. Even if he's not your best catch, even if he doesn't make it, enough to what you feel should be the quote-unquote bare minimum, just by having a man in your life, you are automatically going to have more support. You're going to be safer because you're going to have a man in the household to protect you. You're going to have somebody there to help you fix stuff. You're going to have somebody there to help you lift heavy things. There's always going to be things that a man can do better than a woman, the same way that there's always going to be things that women are better at than men. Cleaning, cooking. There's certain things that women just do better than we do, right? So by a woman trying to tackle everything herself, she's putting herself in a bad situation because it is impossible to do all those things well, and on top of it, raise a kid.
How about sharing duties? That's important. Not doing everything yourself. I mean, you're a single mother. You're stuck doing everything yourself.
Yeah.
How about if you're having a rough day and you need somebody to see how you're doing, to make sure that you're doing okay? I mean, a text message from someone that is with you, that cares about you, that goes a long way, especially when you're having either a good day or a bad day, especially on the bad days. So I think the support is one of the challenges that women have, that when they don't have someone with them, they lose out on that support. And that's a major thing, because think about it, that's something to fall on. If you're struggling with anything and you have a child, you have someone that can really help you through it. But by you cutting that man out, or losing that man and not keeping the relationship together, because I know men try to keep the relationship together versus women, they are the ones that tend to break it off.
Oh yeah, majority of the time, women are the ones that end up ruining the relationship or cutting the guy out, and they end up alone.
So think about what you lose in support when you break off with a man. Another challenge is women making decisions on their own. So my take on that is that, as we all know, men are supposed to lead, women are supposed to follow. Now, women have to lead and make the decisions, the best decisions possible. The thing is that women tend to be more on the emotional side and tend to make their decisions based on what they feel. Oh, I feel like the sky is red, but it's not, it's blue. Doesn't make sense. So I feel like doing A while she should be doing C. It has to make sense. And it only makes sense when a man is with a woman so he can make logical decisions in crucial situations, especially.
Men can definitely help women also avoid making dumb decisions. Okay? I guess a simple example I could give you is, who gets taken advantage of the most when they go to a mechanic? When a mechanic sees a woman shows up, he's going to tell her everything under the sun. You need your blinker fluid changed. You need a second transmission. Like, they take advantage.
Stop the cow.
They take advantage of women. But if you had a man there to say, okay, what's getting done on this car? How much is it going to cost? You want to charge how much? No, we're good. You're overcharging us. Men can help women avoid making stupid decisions, because, like you said, women sometimes are kind of like Tootsie Lala. They're like not aware of what they're doing all the time, and especially when it comes to shopping and spending and like managing their money.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
It's good to have a man there to like stop you from like, hey, we can't afford that, or we shouldn't buy that. We don't need that right now. They may not like it, but it's it is absolutely necessary.
Yeah, if a woman wants to go on a spending spree and buy a $1,000, $2,000 purse,
yeah,
the guy's going to be like, hey, I know you had a rough day, you had a rough couple of days, but that doesn't mean to be all emotional and try to make yourself feel better by going out and buying a purse. Mm-hmm. Because you bought the purse, you have a purse now, which you're going to stick in your closet and, maybe use once and then stick in your closet and never look at it again, just because you had a rough day or you lost out on something. Things haven't been going well in life in general, and you just want to spend to make yourself feel good. It's like a high, which men would bring you back down. They would cut that emotion out and be like, hey, you're not doing the right thing here, so you're not buying this purse.
Yep.
And you're not buying this purse because I told you you're not buying this purse.
Yep.
And if you buy this purse and you don't listen to me, then things aren't going to work out. So
yep.
Women will lose more. In the end, women will lose more not having a man around. They won't have a man help them make the best decisions possible, and they won't have men around to save them from making, as you said, the dumbest decisions possible. So that's all important. That's all important. Another challenge that women have is dealing with financial stress and anxiety. These single mothers, they don't really know how to manage money. So, we were talking about spending moments ago. Imagine making a big time decision. Imagine going out, you have to buy a car or, getting a place to live. Those are big money decisions. Even small things too. What foods to eat, what kind of gas to get, whether it's super or regular, or, buying things that you need versus buying things you don't need. You need gas, you need food, you need, a home, you need a transportation, especially if you're going to work, utilities. There's all sorts of things that you need to live. And of course, you're going to buy some things to be able to splurge. It's not just work to live and that's it. We're not saying that. We're saying watch what you buy and don't overspend, especially on stupid stuff. Spend on what you need to spend, and don't go out and start buying dresses and purses and, vacations, because you're not in the condition to do so. If you have a lot of money, that's different. But that's the thing, that if you have a man around, he's going to be taking care of bringing home the money. You can work if you want. We're not saying that, because women are going to go all up in arms and be like, well, I want to work too. It's not just him that's making money. I want to make money too. We're not saying don't go out and be ambitious. Make money, but it's not like it's necessary. A real man is not going to say, in this economy, you may need to work together and team up. Some extra income helps. But a real man who really wants what he wants out of women, he wants to take the lead, wants her to primarily stay home, take care of the children, take care of the house, cleaning, making food, making sure everything's good there, so he can worry about battling the real world and bringing home the money that he needs to bring home to support his family and then some. I think that's important for a real man to step up and put himself in that position, because if not, then women are going to try to take charge, and if you don't make as much as them or more, you're in a position where you can't really make much of the decision.
In order for a woman to be able to afford even having a child, we mentioned earlier the average cost is $22K a year, and that was in 2023. Realistically, it's even higher now with inflation. The average cost of a babysitter is $21.50 an hour. You need a babysitter for your entire workday, right? 8 hours a day. The average cost of daycare is $320 a week, or $16,000 a year. So the truth is, if a woman decides that she wants to do everything herself without a man and be independent, she's going to have to work so much. And you hear single moms complain about that a lot. Like, oh, I have to work 2 or 3 jobs. You're going to spend so much time working that you're not even going to have the time to be with your kid in the first place. And in return, you're going to have to pay for the child care or the babysitter anyway. And, you're missing out on being the mother of your child. So to your point, there's nothing wrong with nowadays, let's be real, you have to have a two-income household in most parts of the U.S. to be able to afford a mortgage or rent and living expenses. But I think it would be in the woman's benefit to let the guy work more. It's perfectly fine that you have a job or a career. We're not telling you to stay home all day, but at least you have more time to spend with your kids. Or option 2 is you could work all you want and just pay a babysitter to raise your kid.
Yeah, women tend to complain that when they're with a man and they break up with men because of this, they tend to complain and say, well, he's not home enough. He's always working, blah, blah, blah. Well, he has to work if he's going to make the money that you're expecting him to make. Women nowadays don't even accept men that make less than 100K. They want 100K. They want 200K a year, 500K a year. Do women know how many men make that kind of money? It's very few. And then adding on other requirements that women have of men. So you are really kind of pushing a guy against the wall when you're asking him to do all these things and expect him to be home. You know, work hard, make a lot of money, and expect him to be home. You have to be the one to hold down the house as best you can. And if you do want to work, great. But then keep in mind that who's watching your children. So not having that guy, taking that guy out of the equation, because, you know, I did go a little off topic, taking the guy out of the equation when it comes to now women on their own with their children having to not just make food or buy food or, you know, clean up the house, take care of her children at home, take them to school, etc. Now they have to go out and make money. Now they have to go out and work. They have no choice. So that's why you want to keep it together. You want a guy around to help you with that. Not saying that for the fellas out there, not saying that you should just be a woman to be her bank, right? And not have a kid with a woman to eventually just work. You know, you want to get to a point where you can work enough to have some freedom to spend with your woman and children. But again, we're talking about the challenges that women have here, and financial stability, financial stress is what they have, and anxiety, and not having a man around, that's going to make it even harder. When a man is around, he's going to be the one, simply put, making money and taking care of things. And again, a real man, a man that women say they need when they say they need a real man, if he is able to have a job that's bringing home a lot of money, then she's going to be in good shape. Or he may get 2 jobs, because there's a lot of guys that hustle 2 jobs, 2 full-time jobs, or 1 full-time, 1 part-time job, or they have a full-time job and they hustle some business on the side at night or on the weekends. That's huge. And women don't realize that when they try to cut a guy out of a relationship, and, you know, especially a guy that they have a kid with, and they end up being single mothers, and they're stuck. They have no money coming in. They have to do it all on their own.
Even going off of what we've said so far, it's absolutely crazy to me that women don't see this and that they wouldn't want a man in their life. And you should even realize this at a younger age. It shouldn't even take till you're into your mid-30s to realize this. If you consider the cost, how much time it takes, the responsibility, you know, you're responsible for another person, the stress of life in general, work, being a parent, you know, day-to-day problems. Having a man in your life is always going to make it easier. As long as you're not dating somebody that's a drug addict or an alcoholic or somebody that's like clearly not fit to be in that type of role, you know, you don't have to, like, what women ask for nowadays. I understand what they're trying to say when they say, like, they want a guy that makes 200K, yada, yada. We're not arguing the logic against it. It's just realistically, most men don't make that, and you have to be realistic with who you choose. But the point is, you're always going to be better off with a man and raising a kid in a 2-parent household. It just makes sense. Financially, sharing the responsibilities, it's going to be less stress on both of you, and you're going to have a higher chance of raising that kid in a good environment so he can grow up to be normal. Because as we know, growing up in a single-parent household, especially a female single-parent household, raises a lot of issues later. So,
and this will take us into the next challenge that single mothers face, and this is the emotional toll that they take on. Also, you know, the physical toll, mental toll. Women are emotional, let's face it. So being a single mother, having to work, and then go home, take care of their children, do all these things that we're not even listing all of them, that takes a toll. You know, some women end up being depressed. Some women end up being physically out of shape. They're not able to go to the gym. They don't have time. So, which time we'll talk about shortly. Those are things that really take on women's sanity. When a man is around, he's able to control that. He's able to keep women calm, thinks logically, and then things don't get out of hand, and he's there supporting in every way, which way possible. Even though there's certain roles that women have and certain roles that men have, obviously they're going to support each other when they're together. But again, if you aren't able to keep that man around and he goes off, or you break it off with him, that's where it's going to be emotionally worse for you. Again, you want to do your best to keep things in flow, keep things minimal when it comes to stress. And the only way you can do that with a child is if you're able to share the duties with another man. It's easier said than done, but it has to be done that way. Because, what can we say that would, how can it get worse being with a man than not being with a man? I mean, you have to do your best to realize that you have to respect one another, and you have to tolerate each other at times. Things may not be going as great at times, but you have to do what you can as a woman to keep that man around and not try to break things off once you have a little fight. You get pissed off about something, because again, guys aren't ones to run off and break things off. Guys want to be around, but women end up making the situation worse, and then guys end up going off, or they break it off with a man. So at the cost of a woman's ego.
And that's the problem, is that a lot of women nowadays, from what I'm seeing, they are not okay with taking direction from a man. They take it as disrespect. That's what feminism has taught them, is that God forbid you let a man tell you what to do, even though it's purely out of good intention. Look, throughout history, men have always been the backbone, the spine of the household. That's the way it's always been, right? Even if both the man and woman are working, the man is there to be the foundation of the relationship, the household, so on and so forth. Like you said, lead the relationship, the household. You need a male figure in the house. You can't try raising a boy in just a single mom household and see how that turns out. He's going to be painting his nails and playing with dolls, and you have to have a man there to begin with. Or in the case you have a daughter, you want a dad there to protect her, right? She's eventually going to get older and start dating and whatnot. You have to have a man in the picture. So women should take all this into consideration, because, what we went over so far, trying to take this challenge on by yourself. I understand women nowadays are independent. They want to show that they can do everything themselves. But why would you put the stress on yourself to go through all this financially, emotionally by yourself? So
you're going to go through a lot of ups and downs, and I would say more downs than ups. So when it comes to emotions and your physical, mental well-being, the best bet for you women out there that right now have a man and you're thinking of breaking it off, or, things aren't going so great, hold on to that guy, right? Hold on to that man, because that man can be there for you and do some special things for you to make things go easier in your life. Women think that, breaking things off, I'm free. Everything's going to go great. I'm going to be able to handle things. I can do it all on my own. But behind the scenes, really, what's going on? Women have to struggle. They have to go out and make a lot of money. They have to take care of their children and their struggles, and feed them and take them to their sports or to their activities, to their recital, whatever it is. Women have to be both mom and dad. And, they'll make up an excuse and say, well, he was the one, he's at fault. But it's a common theme where women don't look at their own faults and take accountability, which we've said in the past is a huge issue. And men don't want to deal with it sometimes, and they end up breaking it off. You know, we're not saying that, again, aren't certain things that men do wrong. If men do something wrong, sure. You know, it's best for both parties to break off, or you break off with the guy, but most of the time it's a woman causing problems to men, and then they end up leaving, or they end up just breaking it off, as I said many times already within this one episode. And that leads us to the next challenge: time constraints. The time that women have will be almost nothing for themselves. They'll have to do everything. I mean, think about it from an 8 a.m. to an 8 p.m. schedule. Even earlier than that. Maybe like a 7 a.m. to an 8 p.m. schedule, because you have to get up early. You have to make sure the kids are ready for school. And make sure that they're clothed, they brush their teeth, showered, eat breakfast, take them to school. You have to then get ready for work.
Yep.
Right? You work 9 to 3 or 9 to 5. Maybe have somebody drop the kids off at home. Then you have to feed them, make sure they do their homework. And then, make sure they shower again. Or if they didn't, make sure they shower at least at night. And then, likely maybe they'll hang out for a bit and then go to bed, 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, that type of thing. When do you have time for yourself?
You won't have any time. I mean, realistically, you have to pay for your own cost. You have to pay for the kid. You have to pay for daycare, food, doctor, all that stuff. Realistically, the amount of hours you're going to be working, and a lot of single moms work more than one job, you will be left with no time. Because when you get home, you have a little human being waiting for you. You got to play with them, take care of them, put them to sleep, wash them, all that stuff. You have no time for yourself unless it's 30 minutes before bedtime. So think about that.
Yeah, if they're under 5, especially daycare, that's another thing. You'll be working to pay for daycare, not just for everything else. Just notice that in 2023, there are about 50 million children living with their mom, right? Single women. And 3 million living with a single father. So that goes to show that women have a choice here. They end up usually with their children, and unfortunately, guys don't end up on the best side of things there. But if you want things to go in the right direction, ladies, you want to do your very, very best to keep the guy around. I mean, that's